Hi guys, my name is Leo. I am on this super exciting journey whereby I am teaching myself how to draw, paint and create. Something I've always wanted to take a little bit more seriously and commit to. I've drawn before in the past, but it's always been this off and on relationship, and I thought this is the best time because there's never been a better time than right now to start pursuing your dreams and do more of what makes you feel alive. And so I've challenged myself to see how far I can really push this ability, how far can I push my limits within a year. So going into 2024, this is something I really want to do, and so I am documenting this series. Video, I focused on explaining a little bit more about that. We did a sketch to kind of give ourselves a bit of a benchmark to work from. This video, I thought it'd be super fun to just work on this part, the heads. Now I would start with the heads because this is something I always really struggle with. I struggle to get that kind of proportion, the anatomy, the different kind of eyes, noses, mouths, all those kind of features. I really struggle to get the detail correct. And there's a cool YouTuber called Samdoesart. He created this really easy to follow video. It's not very long, but it basically gives you a template to follow in order to create a basic face. Now, I practiced this a little bit and it actually has helped me. Now there's a lot more I can do to progress from this, but it's given me a starting point and some actual technical foundation of which to work from. So I want to share that with you guys. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it and I'll walk you through the process. Let's sketch. So this session is all focused around the tutorial that I did from a YouTuber called Samdoesart. And I'm going to try and break it down into the same steps that he did because I found it super helpful, and if you are someone who is also looking to improve their drawing, this may be able to help you too. So step one is very simple. It's constructing the outline of the face. So what we need to do is draw a circle. Now, probably not the best circle, but it's just there as a guideline. Now from here, what we want to do is draw two lines. So the first line needs to come down the middle. This is known as your center line. So this line here is your center line. So this line coming down the middle. This line here is basically going to be the direction in which your character is going to be looking. So depending on where that line sits is where the character that you're creating is going to be focused. The second line we're going to do is across the middle of the circle here. And this is going to be the first of your horizontal lines, which is the brow line. Now from here we actually need to create the jaw. So what I want you to do and what I've learned, and this is the most basic way of doing it, is to basically come down into two lines. So we're going to start in the corner here, follow this line just below the bottom of the circle, and do that the same on the other side. And then what we want to do is come in slightly. Now this is essentially going to be the main part of the head. So this is the cranium, the skull, as Sam calls it in his video. So what we want to start doing is creating the jaw. Now the difference here is girls are going to have a more narrow jaw, guys are typically going to have a wider jaw. So if we were looking at it almost like thirds, we want to come in just a little bit shallow so it's not too big, and then we're going to come in again to that point. So that gives us this shape or outline of our head. So once you have that, then we're going to go into step two, which is adding in the horizontal lines of where the different features of our head go. Now this really helped me because I didn't really focus on this aspect. I would just add in eyes, nose, ears, mouth, whatever I thought best fitted. But actually this gives it a bit of reference. So what we want to start off with is the hairline. So this is typically going to be across the top here. Give you a bit of a straighter line. Again, it's going to be not too deep. We're not looking at breaking it into thirds, just a little bit wider than the bottom of the circle to the chin. So this is going to be our hairline. Then we're going to come to the bottom of our circle. So again, we're going to draw a line across here. This is going to be our nose line. So once you have these three in place, our hairline, our brow line, and our nose line, it becomes a lot easier to kind of navigate where the other features should fit into the, I guess, the autonomy of our face, where everything should line up. The three main lines that you want to have are your hairline, brow line, nose line first. Once that's done, you can then build in where the eye line should be. Now the easiest way that I found to do this is go from the nose line to the brow line, break it into thirds, and then the top line, the top third, that line there, that's going to be your eye line. So now we have our hairline, brow line, eye line, nose line. Same thing, look at where the nose line should be, bottom of the chin, kind of in the middle of that. That is going to be our mouth line. So we should have 5 main horizontal lines now. So starting at the top, we have our hairline, coming a little bit further down, our brow line, our eye line, our nose line, and our mouth line. This helps us give a bit of structure, and if you are focusing on a character who needs to change to different positions, you can keep that consistency through the different angles that you produce. From here, we can add in the ears. Now with this video, again, it gave us clear instructions to focus on building the ear from the ear line to the nose line. So we can draw this here, coming out and then in. So the eye line to the nose line, there is our ears. So that is typically step 1. Now you could, if it was a male, come in with a thick masculine neckline there. That's given us a foundation of which how to build our face off of. So all I'm going to do is just go over this in pen just to give that structure. I'm going to keep the pencil lines in there so that we can see. So once you've finished, that is something that you should then have in place. You should then have your center line, your horizontal lines all in place, and then we can start looking at adding in all the features of that face into our sketch. So once you have step 1 completed, we can start looking at adding some of the features in, such as the eyes, the mouth. In order to do this, we need to almost put in guidelines to help us navigate to where the eyebrows and the nose and the eyes should all sit. And in order to do this, again, there's a bit of a template Sam uses. So firstly, with the eyes, we want to almost have even spaces. So if I create a line here, that space should be replicated for the nose and then for the other eye. So those 3 sections here should all be about the same distance. And then if we look at the nose should sit a little bit wider than these 2 lines, not much wider. And again, with the eyebrows, they sit a little bit wider than the actual eyes. So again, that's just a bit of a guide we can use to help us navigate the sizes of the features that we're putting in. Now, everyone is different. So if you're someone who really wants to focus on developing your skills as a portrait artist, it's going to naturally depend on the subject in front of you. So they might have a wider nose, a thinner nose, bigger eyes. Eyes might be closer together, wider apart. Eyebrows might be thick, might be thin, and so on and so forth. So these are all things we have to take into consideration when drawing. But for me, this is just, again, a good way to get going, to help build the muscle memory to understand how to draw characters. Now, when it comes to the features, this is again where I struggle, because depending on your style, you can really start to get a bit creative with how you draw noses, how you draw eyes, eyebrows, mouths. These are all things that Dragon Ball Z style eyes. You can, do something similar like that. You can do something a bit more natural. You can really just start to play around with it. And there's no right or wrong, it just depends on how you feel your style needs to be. And I guess this is where you can kind of play around with different styles, different ways of drawing eyes. Again, there's no right or wrong, it's just basically down to what you want to create, and whether that's going to be, say, more manga based, or anime, more realistic. You know, all these different elements and different ways of drawing create styles, and that's what we're trying to do, is try to find our style, what works. For me, I've always kind of done these big kind of slit eyes with big pupils, and do it a little bit similar to what Sam's done, which is a little bit more of an acute eye, something a bit like that. So if we add that in, so again, using our template, maybe I could have done the eyes a little bit wider. This looks very anime-ish, there we go. Give our nose line. So probably the eyes could have been a bit wider, probably got those measurements a little bit wrong. And again with the nose, you know, the nose can be built and constructed in any way that you see fit. If I go back to Dragon Ball Z, you know, the anime series, their noses are very much just triangles. But you could do it any way you want. You could create it with almost this type of shape, with a triangle, upside down triangle in the middle, and then, you know, you could branch off and create your nose, something like that, which is a bit more of a realistic nose. When the eyes come in, you know, you can create a nose with 2 circles and then a circle underneath. Same thing, looks a bit dodgy, we'll just go over there. So, you know, you can create your own way of doing it. For me, I'm going to stick to kind of almost this style, starting in here, create the breach. We're just going to go the nose under there, nostrils. We know the nose comes in from this position, don't need to necessarily draw it. Create a bit more of a feature there. And then we have our nose in place. And then the same with the mouth, you know, there's no right or wrong way of drawing mouths, depends how you want to, you know, construct them. It's all up to you and your style. It's, again, you know, what feels most comfortable for you. So in this case, we can just draw a simple smile like that. And then lastly, the eyebrows is going to come up and then down. Just try to remember how eyebrows look. So start in a same place, up and down, same thing. You can see that my ability of drawing faces isn't all that great, but you get the gist. So from there, you kind of start to understand how the face, the features all fit into this expression. And for me, I think that's a really clear and easy way and a guided way to draw heads. I think I'm definitely going to be using this. And then you can start to draw in, we have our hairline. So again, I was starting hair up here, but you know, we can draw hair coming into that hairline. We can start out there, you know, we can give him almost like a, I don't know, hair needs work, but again, you get the gist. We can add in, and we effectively have our character built just from following these guidelines, just from following how we want these things to look, and from there we can kind of start to build out our face. So that's really kind of what I've learned to do. It's 3 steps essentially. Step 1 is just drawing the outline of the face. Step 2 is adding those horizontal lines in, and then step 3 is adding the features. So it becomes a lot more straightforward once you understand, and then it's something you just need to practice over and over, and it should become more natural. And once you understand the anatomy of the face a lot more and the structure, it's something you can probably draw on your own a little bit more. So yeah, that's a cool way that I think anyone can just pick up a pencil and sketch a face. I don't think it takes too much brain power, too much kind of visualization. You can just use the template in front of you and just sketch away. So hopefully that's given you some good food for thought, and hopefully that will benefit the more beginner drawers like myself, just help understand the anatomy and where to put the features and align them a lot better. It's definitely helped me with some of my sketches. As I said, I've practiced this a little bit, so the hope is that the more I practice, the more fluid it will become, and I'll start to develop my own style. And then when I'm drawing characters, I'll be able to have this reference in my head and be able to draw it without potentially having to add in all these lines all the time. So that is the first lesson, practicing heads, understanding the anatomy, understanding the structure, understanding where the features go, and we can only keep practicing it from there.